right. Okay, welcome to the MPASS webinar. This is a webinar, the basic information about what is MPASS and how it relates to the bigger picture of what Educloud Alliance has been doing in Finland. And there's a few technical drawings, but we don't go too deep in technical issues. This is more about the basics and the business logics and opportunities, and a lot of information about what we're planning to do with the MPASS. First of all, about the background of before we go to the MPASS itself. As I mentioned, the Educloud Alliance, it's a consortium established here in Finland last year, 2015, and there's a few of the members listed in the screen, so you can see that it's purely Finnish organization at the moment. Anyone can basically join it, but there are the major publishing companies in Finland and some of the learning management system providers also. A lot of universities are members here and some other companies. And why this kind of Educloud Alliance has been started is that we wanted, in the ministry, we wanted to build a common ground for technical discussions about the solutions in educational related IT services. We wanted to standardize, for example, the APIs which transfer information between different kind of learning management systems, stores where you buy the products and the authentication and the metadata and everything. We wanted to standardize the environment where everyone can produce standardized and easily usable products for the teachers and students. So in practice, Educloud Alliance doesn't do any kind of products itself. They do create a standard, which is, well, digital format of paper, but in parallel they also create open source solutions for each of the components that are needed to validate that the actual standard makes sense and it actually works. And that's all. The working standard is the basic idea behind everything that they do. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted the companies to be involved here also right from the start. And so that they can verify that even in business-wise this makes sense. Not just technical solution, but also the business solutions work. So it's a framework for discussions between public and private sector and to standardize the APIs and mostly the APIs in education sector related solutions. And what it actually creates is that it makes the markets work faster, because we don't need to make adaptations and integrations to point, but instead when we create the standardized APIs, everyone is able to connect to those APIs by themselves and on their own timetable and adjust their own products to the standard easily, and by that way the products can get to the markets faster. So it also benefits not just the students and the teachers, but also the businesses, companies involved in the markets in Finland, for example. And if you want to know more about the Educloud Alliance, at the moment mostly the material is in Finnish, but you can contact me if you want to know more, and then I'll connect you to the chairman of Educloud Alliance, Jussi Urmola, which was supposed to be here telling you this story of the Educloud Alliance, but at this moment he's in Singapore making more contacts to the Asian organizations and pushing the Educloud Alliance to the global scale now. And I do know a lot about Educloud Alliance. I've been involved in it from the start, and I sit also in the board, so I follow what's going on pretty closely. Then this is the first technical drawing I'm going to show you. It might look a bit like a mess, but it defines what is the Educloud Alliance standard about. And you can see boxes there. And for example, on the left side you see the LMS and CMS, so learning management system, content management system, and then you have some kind of learning recipes, perhaps, and then you might have some kind of web store for products, which is in here it's called Bazaar. And then you probably have some metadata services and metadata analyzer. Those are the components, and the lines between the boxes are the APIs. And those have been standardized, and open source versions of those do exist already. And those have been tested also by the companies involved. And some of the companies in Finland have already adapted to the standard, and the rest are at the moment they are adapting to it. So basically, the biggest players in Finland already have created their products compatible. They are compatible with the Educloud Alliance standard. And on the right side of the image, you see the core part, which is what we're talking here later on, is the authentication solution needed to act as a glue between the services. So when the user comes in, they need to have easy way to access to the learning management system, easy way to access the Bazaar for making purchases. They need to have access to different kind of materials which are located in different kind of content management systems. And instead of having own credentials for each service, we need to have some kind of easier way to log in and to get access to the materials. So there probably will be authentication proxy and some kind of authentication sources, which can be social media or a part of accounts. We'll go deeper into this in a moment. And then there probably some kind of authentication data and user data. And all these need to be connected somehow. And MPASS itself is the implementation of the boxes that you see on the right side with inside the blue circle. So we're doing just that part at this MPASS project. We're not touching anything related to the LMS or CMS. And those are different organizations doing that kind of development. So MPASS, what we probably will achieve pretty easily is that summer 2017, so less than a year, we'll probably have 800,000 users in the system. So that's nearly 80% of the K-12 students in Finland, and the teachers involved as well. And as I said, that it's probably easy to achieve is that I have a hunch at the moment that if we get a few development steps further with a few companies, we'll have that 800,000 users in a month or two. So let's see if we can go over 1 million by the summer of 2017. And some people have asked me, where comes the MPASS? Well, I'm a sci-fi movie fan, and some of you probably know that the picture in the background is from The Fifth Element. They have this pass called multipass. So that's basically the story where it comes from. Well, currently in Finland, when we're dealing with the digital materials in schools in K-12 education, well, teachers are using and students are using a lot of their valuable time to resetting passwords for different kind of accounts, because each company wants to create their own user account for every user. and then the users might have, the students might have 10, 15, 20 user accounts with different kind of requirements for the passwords, and they need to remember all of those or use some kind of tools to manage the passwords and usernames and everything, and it doesn't work. It doesn't really work, and whenever new services are acquired by the schools, new credentials come along again and again and again. So it's a big problem. And this is the message that the Ministry of Education and Culture was given around 2014, late 2014. The teachers complained that do something for this. And well, somebody did in the between solutions, single sign-on solutions, and there's plenty of those in Finland at the moment for different kind of levels of education. You have own SSO solution for the higher education, and then you have some kind of SSO solutions for the vocational training and everything else. So there is no unified way to support lifelong learning in logging into systems. And what also is notable in Finland is that the ecosystem values are not widely understood among the companies here. Some are using still the old business models and sticking with those and having troubles to make a transition to the current needs of the markets, which require ecosystemic approach where you are at least somewhat dependent on someone else's solutions instead of building everything in-house. So you need to find partners, and that's something that is still in transition in business-wise in Finland. And I'm also pushing this kind of ecosystem thinking to the education sector companies as well. And as I said, there is no national support for lifelong learning when it comes to doing some kind of authentication. And this is what it actually means in technical wise for the ICT people. On the left side you have some kind of services, as in Finnish it's palvelu, educational services, and on the right side you have top you have some kind of authentication services, which might be some kind of user credentials for different kind of systems, and then you have some kind, on the right side on the right side bottom you have to trust that user attributes at some kind of system in the municipalities where the information about the students and teachers are at the moment. So without any kind of other solution, you need to do these integrations multiple times, and you need to keep update the integrations all the time, because some of the authentication services change the APIs pretty frequently. So this is an integration hell, and this is what we started to build a solution for. And as I said, the problem was given us and identified by the users at the field, and they came to the ministry and told us that we need to do something, and we took the challenge late 2014 and started building things in 2015. And the solution that we actually have now, what we have been building and testing in the field with the teachers and students and the companies, is pretty simple, and it has a few components. This is probably the last technical drawing that I'm going to show you. But anyway, again, on the left side you have the education services, which there can be multiple, and they are integrated to the MPASS proxy. They don't integrate anywhere else but only to this one point. So from the business company's perspective, it's easy to integrate to anything to bring new solutions to the market. They need to integrate to one point. And from that one point, they will get information for each student and each teacher about that then includes their name, first name, last name, MPASS user ID, which is same as the national ID. So So it will be unique for each of the users. It will give you information about the municipality where the student, for example, comes, the name of the school, class, and the role. Is it a teacher or is it a student? And the companies doesn't need to care about anything that's on the right side. We handle all of that. So, for example, we have the authentication services, which at the moment we have the Facebook, Twitter, and a few other social media accounts that you can actually use. But in top of that, we have the municipality-given usernames for the teachers and students, so they can use those, and then they have a few other options as well. We'll go into that in a few moments. And we handle that actually. We just use the social media account, for example, in the authentication. We don't use the name or any kind of information from Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else about the user. We just do the authentication with that kind of tool. Instead, we collect the names and the information that are listed before from the municipalities, which is the right side bottom of the picture, where is the user data sources. And there's a component called MPASSid data, which collects and knows where the data actually is. And so the companies on the left side can always trust that the user actually is, for example, Jarkko Moilanen, and he is from this and that municipality, and from this and that school, and from 5th grade, and he's a student or teacher. So you can always trust that information, regardless of if the user has done the logging in with Twitter or something else. The MPASSid connector in the middle is a tool where the user actually selects the authentication services that he or she wants to use to do the logging in. So they actually dictate are they going to use Twitter? Are they going to use Instagram? Are they going to use the Facebook? Are they going to come with what kind of authentication services they want to use to get to the materials and to the learning management systems and everything else? But that's pretty much the whole core part of the MPASSid itself. It resembles the normal libraries, authentication libraries that you can find from the web, which integrates the social media accounts to any kind of web service, web-based service that you're actually building. But what is the difference is that you never know what's the information, the user attributes, what you get from social media accounts. In our solutions, you can always trust that the information is correct. And during this spring, 2016, we were in the beta phase, and we started integrating to the municipalities and also to some of the services in Finland from the private sector. And we had this chicken and egg problem that if we don't have users, so the students and the teachers in the system, no one wants to integrate any kind of service in it. And if we don't have any kind of services integrated to it, no users want to come here. And we sort of managed to start the process from the municipality. So we convinced some of the biggest municipalities in Finland to integrate to the system before there was even single service available. And so we started to get the user base growing, and then we started to get some services to integrate to it as well. And during the springtime, we managed to get to the point where we had roughly 3,500,000 users integrated into the MPASSid. And during the summer, everyone was on vacation, so nothing happened. And now we're kickstarting it again and expanding the integrations to even larger amount of the municipalities. And there are a few API modifications going on with a few student management system providers in Finland, and if all that goes well, then we might have the 800,000 users already in a few months. but let's see what happens. I'm really optimistic about that. But it seems that it's relatively easy to gain the 800,000 users by the summer 2017. And for schools and the users, what it actually means to use the MPASS, they can use the familiar login details to get into the learning management systems, to the materials provided by different companies. They can go to the Microsoft Cloud with the same accounts and everything else. And we even started to solve the problem that when you're a first grader, you're probably not good at reading, and it's hard for them to remember their user account or even the password. And we still want to them be able to log into the system as well. So we started to build new kind of authentication method called Oppijan Avain. It's a mobile device-based two-phase authentication, which actually doesn't require that the user actually can read well. They need to understand a few words, but that's it. So it's targeted to the insufficient literacy skills possessing students. So, for example, the first graders or second graders, or people who have suffered some kind of brain injuries in accidents or something else. So it's not just for the first graders, but also for larger use as well. And it has been tested also in the springtime in live situations in third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade students. And based on those testings, it was a success, and we'll continue developing it. We in the ministry do not develop anything, so we seek out two companies in Finland who wanted to invest in this kind of research and development, and we found a few companies. And Elisa is one of those, one of the operators in Finland, and then there's one of the companies in the up north. I can't remember the name now. It's well, anyway, it's another company, ICT company in Finland, and they developed the solution actually, and it's pretty good. So there you can see the other options. For example, the Oulu Eduopa Tunnus. It's a user account or email account given to every student in the city of Oulu, and also the teachers. So 24,000 people came into the MPASS system by integrating that Eduopa to the MPASS. And that's how we actually do everything. So there are a lot of big municipalities in Finland which have centralized user accounts which are given to everyone. And that's the trusted account. So for example, the student in Oulu comes in, uses the Eduopa Tunnus, and then goes to the connector and adds, for example, the Facebook account or something, some other account to be used later on with the MPASS in the login. So we always start with the trusted account, which is normally the municipality's given account in this case. For the service providers, what it actually means, the MPASS itself, it's a faster market entry. It's easy for you to come in, and you don't need to build the user management yourself. You can use the MPASS for the user management. Well, obviously you need to have some kind of adaptation on your services, but you don't actually need to build your own user management at that end. And you can focus on the service development and not the user administration. So you'll save time and money. And we have already an expanding credible user base. As I said, the attributes for each student and the teacher comes from the student management systems in municipalities, which are maintained by the municipality staff, and they are required to keep it up to date and correct. So you can always trust that, and it's expanding pretty rapidly. and we don't want to build our own bubblegum solutions, but we want to build on top of standardized solutions and environments, and that's why we have selected the Shipoleth as the base for the authentication solution. And Educloud Alliance works as the bigger standard and the framework for all of this. So you'll get the standardized environment where everything happens, and it's open standardized environment. In our experience during the beta phase, we learned a lot from the integrations, both at the municipality end and also from the service providers end. And at the moment, it's probably in 95% of the cases, it's 1 hour or less integration time to get your product into the MPASS, get it successfully working with the robot account, and get the meta information to flow on. And the same in the municipalities end. It's probably an hour's work. So you don't need to build an integration project or something else. And we want to make this even more fluent in the future, and we'll make a lot of effort in the fall time to make the developer experience and integration experience a lot better. And at this moment, you need to contact us to do the integration to get it finalized. But what our plan is to go towards the self-service, so you as the service provider can go to a given account, given address in the web, and then you can start doing your integration independently. And you should be able to do it to the end by yourself without human intervention. Unless there's some kind of difficulties or something else, then you can always contact us. So that's where we're going at the moment, and it's, in my opinion, an hour integration at this point of development is a pretty good achievement. Pricing and value, well, you can use it for free. The business sector, private sector can use it for free. Municipalities can use it for free. And why this is so is that the Ministry of Education and Culture has now committed to the MPASS by providing the funding for 3 years forward. And at that time of the period, we need to build a management model where we actually distribute costs among different kind of parties, both in private sector and public sector. But anyway, in all cases, using the system will be free. But if you want to get involved in the development or want to bring in your own features there, then you need to pay some kind of member price, higher member price to get into the board or something like that. That needs to be defined at this fall so that we have everything ready 2017, by January 2017. Well, easy to integrate. It doesn't take a lot of effort from you to get to the MPASS and get your MPASS logo in your product so that you're compatible with, and you can use it in the marketing as well. And it's a trusted solution because it's maintained by the public sector officials. So we are monitored by different parties, and there are laws that require us to do different kinds of things properly. And the Finnish bureaucracy is known to follow the laws by the letter. So you can always know that it will be there and you can trust it. And also the users can trust that we don't leak the information about the users to the parties that are not entitled to use those. And also it did require and does require a few more adjustments in the Finnish law, and that is done. It's already prepared here in the Ministry of Education and Culture, and everything should be ready law-wise as well in the beginning of 2017. Technically, we've been ready to do production already this summer, but we need to wait a few moments and to get the laws into place, and then we can actually roll it out totally and start using it officially. We don't want to stop here in Finland, and the MPASS development has been done hand in hand with the Estonians. We've done cooperation with the Estonian education sector ministry for 2.5 years now in different kind of items, and the education sector single sign-on is one of those. And last spring we had a meeting here in Finland with the Estonians in March, and they decided that they will implement the same MPASS solution in Estonia this year. And during the summer they did the implementation, and now I'm going to the Estonia in September to have a meeting where I'm actually verifying that they actually did it, and then we can actually show to the European Union Commission and everyone else that if we would have this kind of solution across the Europe, then the markets would work faster, because every service provider could use the same kind of authentication in different kind of countries, and you need to do the technical integration solutions just once, and then go to a different country with your product, and it's easy to use there as well. So we try to build it as a European standard for this K-12 level education sector authentication. It's a huge thing, but you need to have some kind of dreams. And since you probably know that there's a lot of talk about digital single market in the European Union level, we want to add there one word. So it's about the education sector. We're digitizing the European Union education sector, not the industry itself. So we're building one aspect of the digital single market. And this is done together and pushed together with the Estonians. So we have a pretty good chance to push it off and to make it actually a success. And why I believe in this is that even the Danish, Norwegian, and the Swedish people and officials have been contacting us lately. They want to know exactly what we have done and how we have actually managed to make it happen. So we have a good signs that everything about the success is here. And I've just even briefly mentioned that this is something that we haven't started yesterday, but it's been a long road coming to this point, and it was initially initiated by the previous Minister of Education, Minister Kiuru, and during her time we started the cooperation with the Estonians, and then we started to build the proof of concept of the authentication in 2015 beginning, and then we saw the initial results in the field. We tested with the students, and everyone was happy with the concept itself, and then we started to implement it actually. And around December 2015 I came up with the name of MPASS, and then we started the beta program, and the rest of it is history at the moment. So it's been a long road already, and but for public sector initiative, it's been relatively short. We have plans for the future, and if you look at the left side of the picture, we have secured the financing. As I said, Ministry of Education and Culture is committed to the MPASS at the end of 2018 at least. And we have a development roadmap drafted in the springtime, and it was finalized yesterday, and I should be pushing it out during the next week probably in the MPASS.id website. The beta program was a success, and it was completed, and we gained more than the aimed 250,000 users. So we did get the 350,000 users. And we have started drafting the management model for the maintenance and everything else. The production environment is about to be started, the building of it. So far we've been working only on the development side, and now we ramp up the production environment in the early fall, and then we have the aim to go to the European Union Commission and to make a showcase and a demo about the MPASS and a few other items which work between Estonia and Finland in cross-border environment. And of course we continue the integrations with different municipalities and different kind of products in the markets, and aim is to have at least 800,000 users in Finland by the next summer, so 2017. Here it is again, and what we actually here at the moment what we need is services. We need services to integrate into the system because we have eager municipalities waiting for services. And even though we are not in production yet, there are municipalities in Finland which actually use it now or already in the schools in live situations because it's working for them. They don't want to wait, and they just want to use it. So we have the users, but we need the product. We need the products to be integrated to the MPASS. And the products can get to the markets pretty easily and fast. So that's basically the story here, short. So, and if you want to know more, you can always contact me. I'm the acting product owner, at least for some time now. And there's my contact information, and also the website MPASSid. ID is the main communication channel. We also have the domain MPASS.fi. You can go either way, and we're also in the Twitter. And if you use Twitter, then use the hashtag MPASSid so that you're followed. Alright, there's a question. Can you clarify again if vendor needs to pay for integration? I lost about 3. And yeah, alright, let's go back. Let's take a good slide here. Right, that's the one. So, if you just want to use the MPASS, you just want your product to be integrated and to be used by, so that the users go to your solution by using the MPASS authentication, then you don't pay anything. For using, you don't pay anything. You just integrate, and if your users want to go to MPASS to your solution, they use it. No price tag for that. But if you want to influence the development of MPASS, you want a specific feature, for example, in there, then the member model is different. Then you will pay a member fee for getting into the board. But if you're just using it and you're happy with it, you just integrate it, and that's it. It's free. Any other questions? If not, then we'll probably done here. I hope you got some more information about what is the MPASSid solution and what we're aiming at here in Finland and also in broader scale. And if you have products that you want to integrate with us, please come forward, contact us, and we use Slack environment for discussions in everything. And it's easy for you to come here. Any other attributes available for products than the ones listed? At the moment, no. That's the attribute that we actually give for every service that is integrated to the MPASS. Why we limit the list of attributes is that in Finland there are pretty strict laws about what kind of information we actually can give from the public sector systems to the markets or anyone else which are related to the kids, so underage people, students, and so on. So the laws make limitations pretty much, and we need to make even more adjustments to the law that we actually can even give this much information so freely to everyone. So this is only the Finnish peculiarity or Finnish side of the MPASS. So if MPASS is taken to another country, the situation might be even totally different. But I would say that information that I listed before is the minimal information that you actually can make the user experience at your product end more targeted to the user. That then you need at least that kind of information. If you get more, that's probably good, but that's the minimum information that you actually need to get your services user-friendly. All right. Any other questions? If not, then thanks for participation, and please follow the MPASS.id website for further information. And by the way, we are participating also the Ultra Hackathon, which is here in Finland, in Helsinki, next week, and also the My Data conference is where we are having our stand and also some presentations. So we're pushing this now pretty hardly, even to the public. All right, thanks to all, and hope to see you next time.